Hey, what's going on everyone? Romeo here, a fellow Spanish language learner. In this video, I want to talk about why you don't see a bunch of videos of me speaking Spanish on this channel. I've gotten a few comments over time from people who want to see more of my Spanish, and honestly, I think that's a fair question. If someone is talking about what it takes to learn Spanish, it's reasonable to want to see proof that they actually know what they're talking about. But that question eventually leads to a bigger one. What exactly does a Spanish proof video prove? So, before I explain my reasoning, I want to make something clear. If you want to hear me speaking Spanish, you absolutely can. There are already several playlists on this channel where you can watch me do exactly that. One playlist is on a 30-day challenge where I work through complete Spanish step by step and converted English sentences into Spanish. Another playlist is my Puticana series where I narrated my experiences in Spanish. And then there's also my structured recall playlist where I use my own program completely unedited. In fact, none of those videos are edited to hide mistakes. You can see the hesitations, you can see the moments where I struggle, and you can see the grammar structures that come out quickly and the ones that don't. So if your goal is to hear me speaking Spanish, those videos already exist. But now let's talk about why I don't fill this channel with Spanish speaking content. The first reason is simple. It's surprisingly easy to fake a level of Spanish on YouTube. The easiest way is to just read from a script. If I spend a few hours writing a Spanish script, rehearsing it all, and then recording it, I can probably produce a video that sounded very polished. There would be no hesitation, no searching for words, and no obvious mistakes. But what would that actually prove? Not much, right? It would prove that I could read a script, and that's about it. The second issue is something I've talked about before when discussing conversation practice. Even if I weren't reading from a script, I could make myself sound much better than I really am simply by staying inside my comfort zone. I already know which grammar structures come naturally to me. I know which sentence patterns I can produce quickly, and I also know which structures still require effort. For example, if I'm not fully comfortable combining the subjunctive with double object pronouns in spontaneous speech, I can simply avoid saying those things. Most people do this naturally. When we're speaking, we tend to choose language that we can comfortably produce. The result is that someone can sound extremely fluent while quietly avoiding entire areas of the language. So even an unedited Spanish conversation doesn't necessarily tell you as much as people think it does. Then there's editing. Let's say I sat down and recorded an hour-long conversation in Spanish. What gets uploaded to YouTube? 10 minutes? 15 minutes? 20 minutes? Nobody sees the entire conversation. Nobody sees every hesitation. Nobody sees every restart. And nobody sees every moment where I needed someone to repeat themselves. The audience only sees what survives the edit. Again, that's not necessarily dishonest. It's just the nature of content creation. But it also means that conversational videos are not nearly as objective as many people assume. And honestly, this leads to an even bigger point. The purpose of this channel has never been to convince you that I'm some Spanish wizard. That's not what I'm trying to do here. The purpose of this channel is to share ideas about language learning, to document my own journey, to talk honestly about what has worked for me, what hasn't worked for me, and what I've observed while studying Spanish for years. I don't claim to have perfect Spanish. I don't claim to know everything. In fact, one of the things I talk about regularly is that I still have weaknesses. I still encounter structures that aren't as automatic as I'd like them to be. And I still have moments where I know exactly what I want to say in English, but need an extra second to build it correctly in Spanish. That's normal. And I think it's more honest to admit those things than to pretend that they don't exist. At this point in my journey, I don't actually need Spanish for daily life. In fact, I don't need it at all. I can travel in Spanish, I can read in Spanish, I can watch content in Spanish, I can have conversations in Spanish. I can function quite comfortably in the language. But Spanish has become something more than just a practical skill for me. It's become a serious hobby. It's a challenge. It's an ongoing project. What interests me now isn't whether I can survive in Spanish. What interests me is whether I can continue reducing the gap between what I can think in English and what I can immediately produce in Spanish. That's the game I'm playing now. And that's why the focus of this channel isn't me trying to prove that I speak Spanish. The focus is sharing ideas, methods, observations, successes, failures, and lessons learned while pursuing that goal. If you want to hear me speaking Spanish, the playlists are there. But if you're here because you're trying to figure out how to learn Spanish more effectively, that's really what this channel is about. And that's probably what it will continue to be about moving forward. Anyway, if this video helped you understand why I don't upload a bunch of videos of me speaking Spanish on this channel, go ahead and hit the like button. And until the next video, good luck on your journey to building more functional, usable Spanish. Peace.